Okay, in this video we're going to be changing a power steering pump in a 1996 Chevy K2500. It's going to be pretty much the same thing for any Chevy or GMC truck within that area, 92 to 99, 98 or something. But you're going to need a power steering pump pulley remover in order to take this pump out. That's what sucks about doing this job. You have to remove the pulley, and the bolts are going to be behind the pulley. We'll get you a shot of removing the pulley and removing the pump as well, but you're going to have one. You can rent one at AutoZone or O'Reilly's or anywhere, and they'll give you your money back when you're done. They're not the best tools in the world, but they'll work for you. Okay, well, I'll get you a shot of what we're looking at here, and we'll get this pulley removed. All right, this is a shot of the power steering pump. It's down in here. This is the pulley. You're gonna have to remove your serpentine belt. You can do that with a 3/8 drive in your belt tensioner. There's a square cut out. You stick your 3/8 drive ratchet in there, and you turn to the left, I believe, but it'll loosen this way, and you can pull the belt loose. Then you're gonna have to get down in here. I'm not gonna remove this fan. You can remove the fan, make it easier, but I'm just gonna keep the fan on and just try to squeeze in between it. And we'll go down here and we'll remove this pulley, and we'll be able to access our bolts back behind the pulley. Okay, now to remove this tensioner, to remove our serpentine belt, just pull, turn down to the left, and you're gonna reach over. And what I like to do is I just slip it off my idler arm pulley if you have to, but he just slipped it off the power steering pump pulley, since that's what we're working on. We'll try to keep the belt as close to the way it was as possible. If not, you'll have to have a diagram. They only go on one way. He's got the pulley installer on, or pulley remover on. I'll get you a better shot of how that works once we get the pulley out. Okay, we got the pulley off here. See it? Now you got to use one of these. I'm going to attempt to do this with one hand, but this will stop rolling. Now, what you got to do is hook one here. Just hold that there for a second. Now I got to do it where I can show it to him. Put one there, and then you're going to have the other one that matches over it like that, and then it has a little collar. Slide the collar on. Now it has a collar that slides over that'll hold it there, and then you take a nut just like that, and it'll screw in. You're going to need a 5/8 and a 21 millimeter. Hold this while you twist this to the right, and what it does is it threads in and pushes against the snout of the power steering pump, right there, and it pulls the pulley towards you. So now that we got that off, we can get the power steering pump out. Now I believe it has 3 bolts here. 1, 2, 3. And then I think it has 1 bolt in the back. It's a nut.
2 for the bracket.
Maybe 2. We'll get a shot of it, and we'll show you where the nuts are and the bolts are. Okay, we got the front 3 bolts out. Now, underneath there is a nut to your block. It's a bracket from the power steering pump to your block, and also on the side, by the driver's side, down underneath. You have to, I can't get you a good shot of them. You have to reach down there and feel them, but there's 2 nuts down there. Now, once we get them nuts off, the power steering pump will come out. And then what we'll have to do is we'll have to take loose the power steering lines before the pump can come completely out. And I believe they're 5/8. We'll get you a shot of that when we're doing it. Got the power steering pump off out of the truck. You're going to have to remove the 2 bolts. The line bolt here for the high pressure line is a 16mm. Now, it's hard to get to. Your best bet's going to be to pull it loose from the bracket, wiggle it out, and then undo it where you can get to it. And before you put it back in, attach that line. You're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Now, we're also going to have to remove the bracket that's behind that bolts to the engine block. You see it has one here, one here. They slide in, and there's a stud there, and the nuts go over them. We'll remove these. They have spacers behind the back side to keep it from bowing. I just use washers to make it as even as possible. And we'll remove that, and once we get that removed, we can take this back. I got a warranty on this, so I'll take it back, get another one, and we'll install it. Alright, we got the new pump here. We got our bracket. Got our bracket installed on the back. Now we're going to set this down there. We're going to attach our lines. Attach our high pressure line in the back before we do anything. Once we get that attached, we'll push it down under the bracket and come back up, and it'll only seat one way in the bracket. The bolt holes in the front of the pump will line up, and then you'll line it up with your rod or with your studs that are in your block. We'll line that up, we'll push it on, we'll bolt it down, and then we'll install our pulley. We're going to take and spray a little WD-40 or something on this shaft just to help it go on a little smoother. I had problems before with this pulley not lining up and shredding my serpentine belt, so it has to be seated all the way back. So we're going to make sure that's done, and we'll get you a shot of what it looks like. Okay, we got the high pressure line on. It's down here. It's hard to get to. That's why we put it on before we did anything, because you will not be able to get that. If you can, you're bad, because I can't get it from when it's hooked up to the bracket. But it's easier just to get it right now. So now we'll get it. We got that on. We'll slide it up into the bracket, and we'll go ahead and start bolting it down and get our serpentine belt back on. It's a tight fit to get back with the line hooked up. It's not easy to get it to fit back under the bracket, but you just have to do some wiggling. And there it is, up under it. You get it to slide onto the studs first. Once we get it to slide up onto the studs, we'll put a nut on the studs. But first we'll go ahead and run a bolt through the front of the bracket to help hold the pump in place. take a little wiggling around to find the bolt hole. Got all of our bolts started in the front, and right there's 2, 1. They're just started, and we got our nuts on the bracket on the back. We're going to tighten this down, and then we're going to try to install the pulley. We're going to put the pulley on, threads into the snout of the power steering pump. We're going to thread that in. We're going to use this. You tighten this one while holding this one, and it'll push the pulley on. Now when we go to start this, we want to make absolutely sure that we're starting it and it's pushing on evenly. We don't want it on crooked. If it starts to get on crooked, stop, get it back off, and start again. Keep it straight. We're going to use a little bit of WD-40 on the shaft to help push it on a little bit, and hopefully it goes on without too much trouble. Sometimes I've used I'll hook the serpentine belt back up to help with some tension. If the pulley starts to turn, we'll hook the serpentine belt back up. That should help with the tension to keep the pulley from turning, so we can get it pressed. We want this thing all the way pressed on, otherwise we're going to be dealing with serpentine belt issues again, which I don't want to do. So we'll get this set up and we'll be back. Alright, we got the pulley started. This is how we're doing it here. Slide that 5, I think it's a 9/16, and we got an 11/16 wrench, and I'm just holding tension to the left while he turns to the right. We made sure the pulley is going on straight. Looks good. We're going to see how far we can get before the pulley starts to turn. I'm hoping we can just get it on. I sprayed it down good with WD-40. It's going on pretty easy so far. But like I said, this thing has to go all the way back, and once it gets to a certain point, it starts to get hard. So far, so good. So far, so good.
Nice one, a ratchet wrench.
It's going to take a little while to get it all the way back. He had to switch arms, he's getting tired. This one's going on a lot smoother than the last one I put on. Sometimes these can cause some trouble getting all the way seated back. But we should feel it bottom out when it hits where it's going. Alright, back to the other arm. Getting close. Nah, that's good. It ain't bottomed out yet. If you You can still push it on, it ain't bottomed out. There it goes. And you can feel it and try to turn it again, see? Now you can feel it. Now we'll take a look at it, we'll pull it off, and we'll look at the pull it off and we'll look at the snout, and it should be almost flush, if not flush, just like that. Let me zoom in, give you a good shot of it. Flash that light to the side of it, not directly on it. Yeah, there. Alright, and there it is, flush with the snout, so we'll have no issues with this. We'll get our serpentine belt put back on, and I'll fire this thing up, and we'll see if we got power steering. We'll fill it up with power steering fluid and put the serpentine belt back on, but other than that, that's how you put a power steering pump on a 96 Chevy. They're all pretty much the same, just going to be in different locations. You're going to have a couple bolts different or something, but you can put any power steering pump on if you can put one on. That's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it.